everybody, welcome to another video. My name is Infiniti, and if you don't know, I'm the face, the voice, and the hands behind all the content here under Infiniti Crafting Co. and behind the website InfinitiCraftingCompany.com. Today is Vlogmas Day 15, and it is channel chat 129. Today I'm going to be talking about knitting versus crochet in my experience, in my book, and I don't know, the different, I don't want to say applications, but the different ways that they're useful in my life outside of obviously doing it as a job. I do have a pot for today. If you don't know, if you're new here, I am a traditionally trained artist and I favor pottery and painting, but the pottery I can incorporate into Infiniti Crafting Co. a lot easier than the paintings, so here we are. So if you want to check out my line of work, all of it pretty much is over on my website, on either the art page that I have over there or in the handmade shop. You can check out probably more pictures in the handmade shop. It's just, that's where it is. So I have that, and there was something else very important. Oh, you know, and I put this on Twitter. I have a very, I don't know if it's a bad habit, but I have a very special talent of downplaying serious stuff. And, you know, I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I might have an adventurous story to tell y'all for tomorrow's channel chat, given that I feel like coming on and talking and doing all that wonderful jazz. I talked to y'all yesterday. I had a very crap weekend. And so, you know, at this point I'm just like, please throw the whole bingo card away, please. But anyway, I'm grateful to be over here in my studio and functioning way better than I was last Thursday, so I won't complain. So pot for the day. Oh, I finished the 5th bookmark yesterday, and I took a picture of it. I haven't put it on the website yet. I did get the water bottle holder up on the website, the red and black one, so that's there. I showed it off on Instagram and Facebook yesterday. There was something else, but I don't remember what it was. My thoughts are all over the place. I am at the last point of color change on this back panel, of this sweater. So I'm looking forward to getting on to the next part of this, and I don't know if I'm actually going to work on this or if I'm just going to hold it and wave it around like a crazy lady. So I can move on to working the front panel of it, and then the rest of the assembly should be smooth sailing from there. So I'm excited about that, so it shouldn't bleed too tough into next week, and maybe I can get this done and rendered out. I still don't know if I'm going to put this pattern out for December or January, but at some point somebody will put in their 2 cents. Otherwise, again, I'm going to eeny, meeny, miny, moe it. Alright, so today's topic, crochet versus knitting, right? A lot of times when I get approached, most people don't know the difference, or that there is a difference between the two, but for those that do, I get asked if I also know how to knit if I'm crocheting, or if I'm knitting, I'll get asked if I also know how to crochet, and I will of course answer yes. So then the next question is always, oh, well, which one's easier? So typically when I'm trying to talk other people into the fiber arts cult, I tell them to try them both, because I am a maniac and I want them to be buried in yarn like I am. But no, I tell them to try both. But I do tell them that crocheting was easier for me, and I think that's completely subjective. I think that's the right word for that. It just depends on your dexterity and what motions move better for you. I've already told my story. It took me 2 years to get knitting in my head, and crochet of course was easier for me with the 1 tool versus the 2 tools, but that was just me. Everybody's different. Some people pick up on the knitting way better than the crocheting, and so it's always a fun conversation to have. One thing with the knitting now that I wish I had when I did first start knitting or trying to learn how to knit are these knitting needles right here. These are the Prims, and I don't know if I've ever talked about these. I might have. I don't know. I talk a lot. These are the Prim ergonomic triangular knitting needles, and of course they come in all your standard sizes. They have these little nibbies on the end of them, and they call them hook tips. And so when you're scooping up your yarn, it makes it a lot easier to do that, because it's not just gliding off of a straight end like with your traditional knitting needle. So if a crocheter was asking me how to knit, I would first of all recommend them these knitting needles, kind of like the bumpers when you go bowling. You kind of put up the bumpers in the gutter so you don't lose, that kind of thing. It's not foolproof, but it does help substantially. And they're also pretty comfortable on the hands, and they do come in circulars, which a few minutes ago I didn't even see these. So they come in regular sizes too, but I just got mine in 15s because I strictly plan to use them for this chunky wool that I'm working on. I would say definitely in my practice that knitting and crochet definitely have their respective perks. So with crochet, I find it to be more portable. It's quicker for me. I crochet very fast when determined. And so that makes it easier for me to like build up inventory when I'm trying to do that, or just easy to get through a project if I'm in a pinch and I need to finish said project. Then I know I'm good to go. I also find that crochet allows you to be a little bit more creative with the shaping and versatility of the thing. Even sometimes when I knit stuff, I'll come in with a crochet hook and do some surface crochet or crochet some part of it because, you know, that additional thing, maybe I don't want to knit it or I don't know how to knit it. Because believe it or not, I don't know how to knit everything. I'm not just some magic knitting lady, okay? I don't know everything. But that's also kind of the fun of both crafts though, because they're expansive, and even being as long term of a crafter as I am, I still don't know a lot of things. I've never tried Fair Isle knitting ever. It's beautiful, but I've never tried it, and a multitude of other things. But in crochet, I'm sure there's a number of things that I have not tried yet in crochet that I probably should at this point, but just haven't gotten around to. But nonetheless, I digress. So crochet has like portability, but I find that I have to kind of focus on the crochet, whereas knitting allows me to give people eye contact. So I can knit as long as I'm doing a simple pattern. I can pretty much knit and look at somebody or like kind of, you know, pay attention. So that kind of helped me focus and stay awake in some of my very tedious and sometimes redundant classes. So like when I got into university, right, I had a lot of credits, and somehow I still ended up retaking some classes because they're like, oh, well, we're going to combine these credits, and you know, the game that college likes to play. So anyway, and then other classes I just felt like I was in and I didn't really need them, and unfortunately they were required for me to graduate. So like last year I had a junior capstone kind of class for the arts program, and it was basically teaching us how to be artists and business owners for 16 weeks. It was hilarious because I was the only one in the class with that know-how anyway. Little background there, I was taking accounting course, but I also wanted to take business stuff, so I was taking both, so I already know how to do my bookkeeping and things like that, and it was just interesting. So basically whenever, you know, the professor was up there talking, or like the guest speakers were up there, it was just one-on-one conversation basically the whole semester. But that was kind of fun in itself. But nonetheless, while I was sitting and suffering through those classes, I was also knitting and working on socks, and it's kind of funny because my professor is also distracted easily like a squirrel. So so I would notice sometimes you just glance at my hands moving and I'm just watching like, sup. Knitting away on my socks. So I find that knitting is rhythmic enough and kind of just centering enough just to kind of keep me focused on stuff. And some people can be kind of snotty about that, but it's like, I don't care. I'm minding my business. It's tucked away in my lap, and if you're looking at my lap that hard, you have more issues than me knitting, so buzz off. And so yeah, again, like I said, it just depends. You know, some people, they knit while they're at work or like on a lunch break or something, or at their desk if they have that kind of like cubicle office thing going on. So, you know, it depends. It just depends. And for me, I find uses for both crafts in multiple different scenarios. Though nowadays I mostly just craft at home. I never leave the house without a project anymore, and it's almost to the point where it's like that meme, like if I can't take my knitting, I'm not going, or my crochet, I'm not going. One thing I will say that's interesting about being a crocheter though is like local yarn shops. Now I've never been to any of mine because none of them are nearby. I wanted to make it my mission one day, one of these good old days, to go to the one that is closest to me, just to kind of sort out or like scope out the selection and maybe get a few nice quality skeins of yarn to spoil myself when I feel like I've deserved it and once all of the smog has passed in my life. So that's something I look forward to when I go. Hopefully they won't ask. Hopefully they'll just ask me what I'm knitting. If they ask me if I knit or crochet, I will tell them that I knit. A lot of people have problems, or not really problems, but the like shop owners will kind of scoff at them because they crochet. And I like, as a shop owner, you shouldn't be mad at the crocheters because like crochet takes a third, like 33% more yarn to make a project with than knitting. So when you see a crocheter come into a small yarn shop, you should be like, okay, today's a gold mine. But you know, that's not necessarily their mindset, but it's okay. I would say definitely when it comes to more luxury yarns, I mostly knit with those, and I think it is by and large because of how much yarn is taken up by the crochet. And it's not that crochet looks bad with quality yarn, but I'm not rich and I don't often craft like it. Like I've stated in many other videos, all my yarn is accumulated. I'm a yarn dragon. I collect things over years and years of crafting. I got stuff back from 17. So, you know, I'm a sucker for a bargain. Where I can splurge on my luxury yarns, I will, and that's why my little center shelf is what it is, because, you know, very selective on those projects. But as for which one is better, I don't think that one is necessarily above the other. I just feel like it's equal, and whichever brings you the most joy and the most relaxation is the one that you should go for. Not necessarily what the internet tells you to go for, because the internet can suck. Alright, I want to show you guys the pot for the day. Today's episode is going to be super short because my camera batteries are ornery. Yeah, even though I've left them alone and charging, they're angry. So I'm just going to get on with it. Today's pot, her name is Corin, and I already know which one this one is. You know, I thought that maybe I would forget, but I should know my own memory by now to know that it's pretty darn good. So, this is Corin, and she's for knitting needles. Now, she has another piece that has the Rutile Blue featured on her, and it actually turned out decently. And we're going to see how well this turns up on camera by the time I edit this podcast. But, of course, I may end up popping up a picture so you guys can see the detail on the glaze. I love how the crystals in this Rutile bloomed on this one. And it's porcelain, yeehaw. But it's for knitting needles, obviously, or if you only have a few crochet hooks, you can even use it for that. But I remember specifically making this one for, I don't know where my other knitting needle is, for knitting needles. I'm definitely popping a picture up there because I know I took pictures of it with the needles in it. So yeah, if you like this piece, she is available officially on my website, and you can find it via the link in my description box, or I will try to pin it in the top comment if I can remember by the time I get around to uploading this video. Alright guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. Sorry it's short. I will see you guys tomorrow, and until then, happy making.